Good evening, brothers and sisters. This is War Smith with the Black News Network, bringing you the news from a Black perspective. I do not own the rights to the music, but I do own the rights to what I say. Black disenchantment, uh, black disenfranchisement. That's what I wanted to say. We have went through several different amendments to give black people what we should have as any American. You know, it always says government for all. We cannot have a government for all until the government is for all. However, the government went out of its way to ensure that we were disenfranchised in this country. That's why when you ask me, who are you? What do you recognize yourself as? I am an indigenous American. There's a big difference between an indigenous American and a United States American citizen. You have to determine which one you plan to be. The indigenous American is the individual that was born in the United States, actually born in the Americas. And by being born in the Americas, you become an indigenous person. I heard something. I don't know what it was, but let me keep going. As an indigenous person, you're a Native American. You are not part of the corporation that most of us talk about. There's a big difference. Anytime you say that you're a United States citizen, that means you're part of the corporation. If you're an indigenous American, you're not part of the corporation. Now, how do you distinguish yourself from the two? If you want to be away from the United States of America, but living in the states of America, you have to authenticate your birth certificate. Now, that's a lengthy process that starts with the city and state that you were born in. You would have to fill out a document, send this document to the Secretary of State, and the Secretary of State will provide you an authenticated certificate saying that your birth certificate has been authenticated, which means you are not the property of that state. That's all that authentication does. It takes you out of being the property of that particular state. So once you authenticate for your state, now it is time for you to authenticate for the national level, the Americas. So you do the same thing. You go to the State Department and you send in a form asking for authentication. And when they send you your document back, they basically tells you the same thing. You are not part of the corporation of the United States of America. You are an American. You live here and nobody can kick you out of the country. You are here as a, let's say, citizen of the indigenous America. But there's a difference in how you say it. If you say you're part of the United States of America, bam, you're part of the corporation. You say I'm an indigenous American, you saying, bam, I'm not owned by the state. So there's two different things you have to do. Black disenfranchisement is something that we have dealt with for 400 or 500 years here in this country. So our thing is we have to figure out how we can reverse this entire direction or trajectory that we are on here in America. The 15th Amendment, which was ratified on February 3rd, 1870, gave African American men, black men, indigenous American black men the right to vote. Now, when they gave us the right to vote, black people ran to the voting offices and put their bid in. You know, the first year, the second year after the 15th Amendment was passed, there was a plethora of Black people going to the voting booth. And by that, Black people were winning different offices. They became public citizens, they became politicians, and they were on a roll. And we were about to take over this country until the white folks decided that, yes, we have to stop these people before they take over our country. Now, they've always wanted to distinguish between us and them. And this new amendment passed by the federal government here in the United States of America gave them the right to come up with little things to stop us from being able to vote. So one of the first things they did was offered a litmus test where if a Black person came in to vote, that black person would have to take a test, and that test could be anything that the voter registrar wanted it to be. They can ask you to spell the longest word in the dictionary. They can ask you who was the first president, who was the second Secretary of State. And if you don't answer those questions, you were not going to be able to vote. So the federal government gave everybody in America the right to vote. However, the individual states took that right away by the invention of these litmus tests, by the invention of boycotting, by putting these white folks in front of the door when you're trying to go in and vote. All these different things that they did. They established the Ku Klux Klan, night riders, slave catchers, just that are now present day police. Those are the people who ended up stopping Black Americans from voting or from going to the polls. So here it is, 2022, and we are still trying to get it together where we can go to the polls as a group and start to vote. But one reason we don't vote is because of apathy. I don't want to say that we are apathetic, but I do want to say there's a problem with the Black vote. We want to bitch and complain and fuss at everybody after the election because their candidate didn't get elected, but in the forefront, they didn't do anything. So you want to be proactive rather than reactive. You're being reactive when you come to the polls saying, I wish so-and-so had a won. But you ain't took no damn time to go down to the poll and cast your vote. You didn't even take the time to get yourself registered as a registered voter. Now, that's one side of this country that you must do if you intend to get your equal rights in America. You're not going to get equal rights in America if you don't vote. So today, we are going to have a guest, and that guest is coming in here to talk to us about voting. One thing about that, so many of us are legal age to vote. But what happens is the white police and the white governments know that if you can vote, they're gonna have a problem. So what do? They start putting little papers on you. No matter what a Black man do, they'll pick you up, write you up, give you some kind of ticket, some kind of fine, get your information, put it in the system. And that one time they did that, they looking for a second time. And that second time they did it, they looking for a third time. And the objective and the goal of what these police are doing is to get you on paper and to get you penalized with something as close to a felony as they can get. And they want to get that on you so it disenfranchise you from being a registered voter. So by having that within the first several years, you are not going to be able to vote. That is something that they have done to many and many and many of us. Thousands of us have ended up in this situation and cannot vote. Therefore, that gives them that opportunity to go vote, and then knock out any candidate that we may have for office. That is the sad part about us being registered to vote. So because they do that to our people, we should be smart enough to say, well, we know that they're going to knock some of us out from voting. But what we have to do is vote, register, vote, register. There was one thing I was thinking about that I do need to tell you. You know, when you see wildebeest in Africa go across one of these lakes where that's infested with alligators. Now, they'll crowd up on the beach because they're ready to go, but they don't go. So they sit there until millions of them gather up on the beach or on the shore of the river. So when somebody get pushed in the water, everybody takes off. So when they start crossing that river, every one of those million wildebeest is going to go across that river. Now, the objective of this is, we know as wildebeest, we are going to lose one here and one there. We're going to get picked off. One or two of us will get picked off by the alligators, but all of us are not going to get picked off. So put yourself in that place as a black person. If we move like the wildebeest and try and go cross this river, we'll make it as a tribe, as a group, as a huddle, as a whatever you want to call it. But we will make it across that river. One or two of us will get picked off in the process, which is what has been happening here in this country all along. They love to isolate and dominate. They isolate black people, and then they dominate black people with the authority of the law in ensuring that they can win. And you can't stop it. There's no way to stop it right now. If you get pulled over and you're the only one out there in that car, that cop can do what the hell he wants with you. The thing is, you have to be smart enough to make sure somebody else knows. So if you get pulled over, one thing that I recommend is that you dial 911 and you tell the dispatcher what's happening with you. And that way, and leave the 911 call open so you can record it on your phone, record it at the 911 station, and then you're going to have the police tape as well. So you got 3 angles of recording what this officer is about to do. But if you standing there holding your camera and trying to put it in his face, you're going to aggravate the fool, and he's going to get ugly with you. So you don't want to aggravate him. So set your camera up, sit it down, and put your hands on the wheel like you should, because if you don't, you're going to get in trouble, and you cannot win in a situation like that because you are that one that's going to get picked off because you're out there by yourself. So them alligators going to take care of you. That's what you want to avoid, is being out there alone where you can be picked off by the police. If you're in a group, it's a lot of you, you stand a better chance of everybody making it home. Everybody. But you might lose one or two in the process, but the majority of the group will make it home. That is the objective. And as long as we keep competing against each other, they are happy. That's what they want us to do. Keep working as individuals that are going to be picked off. That is the problem. But if you go into any large city in America, you're going to see Chinatown, you're going to see Koreatown, you're going to see Afghanistan town, you're going to see all of these towns that these cultures build. And nobody says a damn thing to these different cultures. The police don't even go into Chinatown. They don't go in there because they don't want to fool with them, because they are self-contained. They got a hierarchy, They got people in charge, and they work together. You can have 40 different Chinese restaurants right next to each other, and every single one of those Chinese restaurants have plenty business and making plenty money. But you get us, we're so envious and jealous of success in our community that no one is lucky enough to get to that magic number. One may slip through the cracks, but the majority of people trying to make it through this mess are not going to make it. You're going to make it through, but you're going to be marginal or less. Only 1% of us is going to get over that hump. But if you look at what's happening in America, it ain't our fault that they run around here with all this money. But 98% of the wealth that white people have to this day came from black folks being slaves or being unfreed people. That's where all this wealth came from. They changed the way we think about it. They make us feel like that's the privilege. That's what needs to happen. And that's the way it is. And we gonna live marginally as servitude people in the United States of America. And as long as they can keep us in that service level underneath the glass ceiling, then we are not going to be successful, because they can walk up to you any day in your particular job that you've been on for 25 years and tell you you are fired. What the hell you gonna do other than get your ass off of their property? You ain't gonna do nothing else. You gotta go, you gotta go. Now, that's why it's very, very important that not only do you have a job that you might work 9 to 5, you're gonna have a side hustle. You may deliver pizza at night. You may do Uber. You may do that other one. I don't know what it's called, but it's another one. You may have something going for you. So my point is, you should have at least three streams of income. So when that white man walks up to you and tell you to get the stepping and put your skates on, then you should be smart enough to already have something still flowing so your family don't starve. You know, they always say we're one paycheck from failure. We're one paycheck from being done. We're an unfree people. When we were an unfree people, we worked for 246 years without pay. They intentionally put us in an economic disaster. They put us at an economic disaster and an economic disadvantage. We could not do anything about them putting us in that position. The federal government gave us a little bit. They helped us to get out of slavery, but only to their win to get what they wanted. And as soon as the Emancipation Proclamation was signed off, Lincoln was assassinated. That is how it rolls in America. Today, 2022, if you look up at the Congress, you look at the House of Representatives, you look at the legislature, you look at all these people, even from the city level to the county level, to the state level, to the federal level, you will see 99% white folks running this country. Even in the million Hispanic cities like San Antonio, you got a Hispanic mayor, but the rest of the city is ran by white folks. They're at the head of everything going on in this city, and that is the problem. You don't have very many blacks. They may let you come in just to fill a quota, and that quota is only filled because it's dictated by the federal government. They have employed things to try and help these prejudiced-ass white folks to get the hell out of our damn way, but they not going to do it. not without a fight. Everybody's walking around now talking about civil war because they raided Mar-a-Lago. You know, F Mar-a-Lago. Who gives a shit about that? You know, they should have went in there. They took a tractor trailer load of documents that he stole from the White House. He's going through shit in New York, and he pleaded the fifth over 200 times over a 6-hour period. But a year beforehand, he said, if you're pleading the fifth, you must be a criminal. So he's speaking to himself. This country is going to hell in a handbasket. You've heard that before. You've heard it before. I said a few minutes ago, they changed the way we think. We have to change the way we think again, back to the way we need to be successful. They are not the superior people. We are not the inferior people. And as long as we got that mentality and that mindset of being inferior, then we ain't never gonna get it. We gotta be like the wildebeest, and we gotta come together, and that is the only way we're gonna make it. And in order to come together, we have to vote to get these old crackers out of them damn seats. And that's just the bottom line. And I don't mean to offend nobody, and I ain't talking about white folks that are good white folks. I'm talking about them ignorant-ass white folks that don't give a shit about blacks. Those are the ones I'm talking about. So if the shoe fit, put the damn thing on and keep it moving. That's what we're going to do. Without further ado, he's not here yet, but I'm going to give him a couple of more minutes. We got to stop functioning as individuals. See, black folks in America are sleeping giants. We are sleeping giants. We are like Godzilla in the cave, buried with 1,000 tons of dirt over us. And they keep disturbing the dirt. They keep disturbing it by digging it and stepping on it and plowing on it and doing all these things on the dirt. So eventually the dirt gonna get out the way and Godzilla gonna come up and start kicking ass. And Godzilla is the black man. Godzilla is the black male. Watch. You cannot keep kicking a damn dog because that dog gonna eventually bite you. You keep kicking him, he gonna bite your ass. And that is what you are doing right now to the black male. You keep kicking him, you keep denying him, you keep him making less than what he ought to be making because you don't want him threatening your position. A black man and a black woman can do the job better than any white man in these damn jobs. But black men will never get that opportunity. Black women the same way. Look at NASA. Look at the movie that's out about these women that did all the calculations for the first moon orbit. That was a good thing. Serena Williams, she won the world championship 23 times. Nobody else on the planet has won in tennis that many times. That level of proficiency and professionalism. That's an awesome accomplishment. It was done by a black woman. Arthur Ashe, the same one, the first black male to infiltrate tennis. And look at how he did. He did well too. And the one thing that these people did, they made the white people like them. They didn't like the Serena Williams when she first got in there. They talked about her saying she might be a man and every damn thing else, but she was a powerhouse when she started kicking their ass and they couldn't do a damn thing about it. They couldn't do shit. She beat so many asses, it ain't funny. 23 times world champion. Shit. That's a badass woman. She announced a retirement, though. That's what I wanted to get to. That's what she's doing. She is no longer going to play tennis. The true nature of the white man is on one agenda. As long as they can present themselves better than the black man, then they happy. But let a black man do better, they watching him like a damn hawk, and they calling the damn homeowners association on him. They calling the damn police on him. They doing all these things against the black man because they are envious and jealous of how well the black man does. And they call these white police officers and lie, oh, this black man about to rape me. Oh, he's angry. He's going to hurt me. And the police run their stupid ass up there and attack the black man when they ain't did shit but walk their damn dog through the park. That's the kind of shit we have to deal with all the damn time. And you, as a black person, getting a police call on you, you scared than a mofo. You're scared because you know what they do to us. But you don't want to do a damn thing about it because you want to keep operating as an individual. And the only way you're going to put this thing together is if you start operating by voting. Register to vote. That's what you need to do. We cannot economically get ourselves ahead in America as individuals, but we can get ourselves ahead as wildebeests. In other words, we got to work together. If we don't do it, we're not going to make it. We are in this game of chess, which is life, and we can't do shit about it because we ain't ready to die. But if you don't get off your ass and start doing what you're supposed to do by voting and getting our people in these positions, then you might as well die because they are going to lock your ass down to the service level of America. And that's all you're going to be able to do. That's all you're going to be able to find a job in. What do people fall back to when they can't find a job? They go to McDonald's. They go to Burger King. They go to Wendy's. They go to this damn area of work. But yet a black man can't go over to the Mexican restaurant and get a job. A black man can't go to the Italian restaurant and get a job. They don't have to cook the food. They can wait the tables. You know, they can do a lot of different things. They can wash the dishes, but they ain't going to give them a job doing that. That is the issue with America. Black people will hire folks all up and down the line. But we, as black people, don't give a damn whether they're white, black, indifferent. We don't care as long as they work. But when you go to a white job, your race is like the number one thing. So let's say you put in an application for a job, they talk to you on the phone, and you did a little bit of code switching where you sounded just like a white man or a white woman on the phone, and then you show up, and then they first thing they say, oh, I thought you were white. And then they come at you like, thank you for the interview, we'll be in touch. And you never hear from them again because they figured out you were black. And by being black and the smartest or the sharpest knife in the drawer, they're going to put you out that damn drawer because they don't want you in there as the smartest person in the drawer. They do not want you there. When we pool our wealth, we create an economic advantage. So how many of us that you can count right now that work with other friends of theirs and have a pot of money where everybody puts X amount of dollars in it every week or every month or once a year? How many of us have a network so strong where we trust each other enough to put our money in the same damn place? Only place I know that they do that is a strong group. Now you got these fraternities out here, but they suffer. I mean, the fraternities don't do what's really important for the black community. Oh, they give you the prestige of being an alpha. They give you the prestige of being a Q or beta or whatever the hell you want to be, or Mason. But when it comes to the work that's being done in the community, you see the Qs picking up paper once a year down New Braunfels Street. I don't know what the alphas do or the betas. I don't know what they do. But that one time you get out there and walk up from one end of New Braunfels to the other one picking up paper, that ain't shit. Anybody can do that. They can give one. You ought to let somebody get a job to do it and get paid for doing it. That's the kind of work that these kids can be doing. But you as grown-ass men out there picking up paper because you ain't got nothing better to do. Then you go give $1,000 scholarship and you feel like you done did your community service. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Why don't you pay for a year of college? Much money you should have. There's no reason for an organization that's been around for 100 years to be broke. And then they got to go to the members and say, oh, y'all got to pay for this because we ain't got no money in the treasury. But that is the situation here. Our Black organizations have been around for year after year after year, and they have not accumulated a damn thing. They don't have the wealth that equates to the time that they've been in office or they've had the organization. That's the sad part about America, and especially our Black people, that we are not doing what we should do with these organizations, but we represent. We get out there and we can step, we can wear our white shoes and our red pants and our white jacket. We can wear our black suit. We can wear our purple and gold. We can wear all this shit out there and look like we somebody, but you ain't shit because you don't do a damn enough. All these damn fraternities out here, and we can't get out the damn hole. We can't get a single Black in the management of the city of San Antonio when there's close to 100,000 Blacks here in this city. Not one Black in the management of the city of San Antonio. Why is that? Now, if there is a Black in there, I guarantee you somebody done kissed some ass somewhere and they like a second or third generation person that done worked their way up in there and found favor with one of them white folks. Otherwise, ain't no damn Black in the city. Sorry to say, it is what it is. And that's the way it is here in San Antonio. I told you last week about the rats. White people are so afraid that they are about to be extinct that they are now experimenting on rats to take a Black rat and make that Black rat produce white babies, white rat babies. That is what they're doing. They're in a desperate situation. That's why they messing with Roe versus Wade. And by the same token, all this shit they're doing is just creating havoc for women. But everybody that voted to overturn Roe versus Wade were men. Now, how men gonna step up and tell women what they can and cannot do? It's just like when the men told the women that you can or cannot vote. Ain't that some shit? How can you do that? How can you think you got the power, the authority, the position to say what women can and cannot do? Pelosi went over to Taiwan, as you may know. And when Pelosi went over there, China said, hell to the no, you better not go. But Pelosi went anyway. And now there's another dignitary plane going to Taiwan with Americans on it. So that makes a couple of visits. But at the same time, China don't give a shit because they are going to do what they do. They have surrounded the island and they staying offshore now, but they're showing a show of force around the entire island of Taiwan. And they're doing it to let America know we ain't bullshitting. And America doing what they're doing to let China know they're not bullshitting either. So Taiwan is going to be the center of World War III eventually, because everybody want to own that damn little strip of land. Must be a lot of money going through it. Pelosi is damn near 80 years old. It's time for her to sit down. Biden at 80 years old, time for him to sit down. Look at the United States Senate and you see 99% white folks in there over 60 years old. Why the hell you get to be in the Senate 30, 40, 50 years? And you can only be president for 4 years. Why you got to keep these white folks in those positions? And they know what they're doing. They get elected and reelected and reelected and reelected every damn year, and they don't do shit for their constituents. Look at the man from Kentucky. He's making money everywhere. And he's not doing anything for Kentucky, because Kentucky, in Elkhorn, Kentucky, suffered the worst flood that they have ever suffered in life. Now, what are they doing? The president's throwing billions of dollars at them. The House is throwing money at them, but this money goes to a particular source and it sits there to be disseminated. And guess what? Only 1/2 of that money gets out to the people. The rest of that money is going in these lawyers, these congressmen, these politicians' pocket, city politicians on up. And if you don't believe what I'm telling you, ask the ones that get caught. Ask Nigger Nagin. He'll tell you. He will tell you from a prison cell that it ain't a wise thing to do is to take money from the government and embezzle it. And that's what they do, and they get away with it. I look at these athletes as well. You know, the XFL is about to initiate in January. And then you're going to have the XFL, NFL. The XFL is going to practice at many of our high school fields here in San Antonio. Now, that gives us all an opportunity to go in. If you are interested in being in sports medicine, you're interested in working with teams and doing things in that type of arena, then my guess or my information to you would say, find out that schedule for the XFL coming to San Antonio and get your ass out there and get you a job, because they need people. It's a shortage of people to support these teams. You could be the ball person, the water person. It don't even matter. Get on the damn squad, and there you go. You can move from there. But if you ain't on the damn squad, you ain't made it nowhere. Get on the squad with these teams, because it's good for you. And it's good money will be coming to you if this XFL get to be as big as the NFL. If you look at what happened to Deshaun Watson, a quarterback now, he got accused of 25 acts of sexual misconduct. Deshaun Watson, a badass quarterback, got called for 25 allegations of sexual misconduct. Now, allegedly, and the rumor has it that he's paid off over 20 of these women to shut it down. Now, all these women are Asian women, and they are getting paid millions of dollars because they made an allegation against this man. Now, if you are a man in a situation like Deshaun Watson, why would you be doing dumb shit like that? And why would the people around you allow you to be doing dumb shit like that? And it's the same with the police. Why are these black officers or these so-called good police officers allowing these screwed up officers to hurt people the way they hurt people? Why are the good officers sitting back watching? Why are they doing it? Why are the black officers not saying a damn thing? They ain't doing shit about what these white officers doing to the black folks. I guess you're afraid to lose your damn job. And for a police officer to say he killed this man because he was in fear for his life, that punk ass cop need to get another job, because that is the problem. They want to use they did it for protection because they feared that this person was going to hurt them, and it was self-defense. That's why they shot them. But the person they shot ain't had no gun. But then I still think about those 60 police officers. Those 60 police officers that those 60 shots that people put into that one boy, and they shot 90 times. But see, all this stuff come up and it goes away. Now, like I said, we must start to vote, and we must make ourselves qualified to vote and not allow the police to take us out of being a registered voter and a voter. Without further ado, here's Mr. Chuck Slaughter, who is the president and CEO of Mr. Slaughter. Can you tell me the name of the organization? Mr. Slaughter, can you hear me? Mr. Slaughter, can you hear me? Oh, the other way. Say something, Chuck. Well, Mr. Chuck just went off the air. I guess his connections are bad. Moving right along, Deshaun Watson, which we were talking about, is the quarterback for, I don't remember the team, but the judge suspended him for 6 games for all these allegations. Now, how can somebody come back and say, like the NFL did with him, come back and say, we are going to reevaluate your fine and your suspension because we think you should have been suspended for a whole year? Now, how are you going to do that? You can't. That's double jeopardy. You're going to put him out there and do it again? When you open yourself up to other cultures and you trying to be like other cultures and you think you can get away with shit like other cultures, then things like what happened to Deshaun Watson will happen to you. You get brought back down and they'll call you an uppity nigger in a goddamn minute. And they call you that because they envy what you're doing and they are jealous of what you're doing. That is the issue. So when somebody say that you're an uppity Negro, then you know that you must be doing something right. And if you ended up leaving that job because you call you an uppity Negro, then so be it, because you already know you working with rednecks. You need to get up out of there before they do something to you. All these black kids running around with these white kids, it always is one black and 10 whites, one black and 45 white folks going to a party. And that one black end up becoming the victim in that damn party, or they come up dead. But you don't hear shit about that on the news. But every time a little white girl go missing, they put that shit on national news like it's some news for some damn body. And that's why I say F CNN, F Fox News, F all that news, all those news channels with the way they produce and represent news, because they're telling you bullshit. If they don't put some black people up there and say this woman came up missing, that woman came up missing, they need to shut that shit down and not do any of them. But over the last few months, I've seen them put two white girls up there that came up missing or dead. And now all of a sudden, no blacks get the same recognition. So that tells me in another way that this country will not, no matter what, allow black people to gain any recognition or support from the government. Now, the government is the main reason we are where we are as black people in this country. They are the ones who did not allow the veterans that came back from World War II to get a house. They denied them the training that they gave the white folks. Even the man that killed Emmett Till got a GI loan. They gave him a GI loan. Can you hear me, Mr. Chuck?
Yes, sir.
All right, we got Mr. Chuck who's going to talk to us about voter registration and voting, and as well as the way the legal system use legalese to get us locked up and out of our community. Mr. Chuck, would you like to do an introduction?
Yes. Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. And Mr. Smith, thank you for inviting me to your show to talk on some very important issues. Here you have a good topic that you're rolling with right now. And I kind of hate to change the flavor a little bit, talking about voting, but it all kind of interconnects with the everything. And when we um, what we have to do as a people, we have to get ready to go do a battle at the polls. And to do that, that's better than having to go out in the streets and do it. We still got to try to follow Martin Luther King's method of peace before violence. We just have to become intellectual radicals and let them know that we ain't gonna take it. This is not what it's gonna be like. It's not gonna be an easy ride. It wasn't an easy ride for us. It's not gonna be an easy ride for you guys. So, we just got to be ready to do what we got to do.
So
So,
let
and
me ask you a question, Mr. Chuck. What do you see as the major problem? Because I've followed you for years, and I know that you've implemented many efforts to get our people registered to vote. So I'm kind of interested in what happened. I mean, why you think we are not going to the polls?
well, I think a number of us, a lot of us are going to the polls. It's
Mm-hmm.
our young people and our people living in poverty, working day to day, 2 and 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet. They just don't have time to follow politics, and they don't care. They've lost hope, and so they don't care about going out and voting. And what we have to do is we got to get in there and invest into them in order to train them and teach them the importance of their vote. And nobody's investing into them. Uh, they branded them. They branded them as being sorry, lazy, won't get off of their bottoms and go and do anything to help themselves. But it's a bigger picture. It's a lot more to it than just getting off of your rear end and going and helping yourself. We
Mm-hmm.
still got racism in the workplace. We got
Mm-hmm.
racism in the classroom, and it's affecting us as black people the most. Believe it or not, it is. We've
Mm-hmm.
made some great strides, but
Mm-hmm.
those that made those great strides have not reached back and reinvested into the black community itself. And we need that. We have to do something to help our people. And if our people that have made it, have become successful, got the money, got the knowledge, and got the resources to reinvest in Black America and creating jobs and educational opportunities and creating opportunities for Black people. I mean, I say it unapologetically. I mean, uh, everybody else is doing it. We better start taking care of our people and stop waiting for somebody else to fight our fights.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. That sounds like something that we have to fight and figure out a way to reach these younger generations that don't think well of politics at all. They don't want to go into politics because they have seen the struggles that we have had as adults trying to get these communities and these elections and this all this stuff fair. And it's not fair. It's not fair. I don't care where you go. You remember when they started taking out the mailboxes in communities? And then if you look at the city of San Antonio right now, you don't have a black person. You don't have a black person representing us nowhere. Now, I think they may work somewhere. You might have one on the zoning board. You might have one on the fire department. But these are black people that know some white people that gave them that position. And that is the issue. The only ones that got those positions are people that the white people figure that they like. Because the majority of regular people coming down there trying to get a job, you wasting your damn time. If they don't know you, if your granddaddy or your grandma or your mama or daddy that don't know somebody down there, you can hang that shit up because they
Let
ain't
me
giving
tell
you
you,
nothing.
let me tell you if I think about that. And people may remember back when George H.W. Bush was president, and he gave what I call it. He gave a big boost to immigrants that's coming here to open up businesses by telling them, you can come here and open up your business and hire your people and do whatever you want to do. You ain't got to worry about hiring those
Okay, he may have froze up, but he'll be coming right back with us. Give him a second. In the meantime, just remember this is what happens when you give up on a race. You give up on our culture. You give up on everything about us, and you want to adopt or assimilate into theirs. That is the problem, and that is where we are right now. We are not white folks, and we cannot assimilate into being white folks. Just because we may speak white, just because we may dress white, just because we may live white, just because we may drive white folks' cars, that don't mean shit. You're still black. And you're still gonna get your share of being disrespected on some level, no matter what. For instance, I was at a place called Bucky's the other day, and I'm standing in line waiting for a cashier to open up. And this Mexican dude, he was a cashier. He fumbling around until I turned my head away. Then he runs over to the cash register and calls this whole family of Mexicans up to his register, knowing that I was next. Now, that is one of the first times I just decided to let that shit go because I could have got his ass fired for doing that. So, discrimination happens everywhere in America. It happens when you want to use venues. It happens in the pricing of the venue. It happens when you buy cars. It happens in the pricing of the cars. It happens when you want to do anything because you may go in there to do, even when you go to restaurants nowadays, every restaurant serving screwed up food. Now, Olive Garden, I've always had a decent meal at Olive Garden, but every restaurant got some flaws, and right now they always trying to blame shit on people shortage. All right, Mr. Chuck is trying to come back with me. Let me see if I can get him in on the show so he can tell us some more about voting. All right, can you hear me, Mr. Chuck?
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead. You know, I know.
As I was about to say, well, let me let you know that I have a weak Wi-Fi connection, so you're losing me from time to time. But you just be patient. I'll be right back on. But as I was about to say about the racism and discrimination in the workplace, George H.W. Bush, when he was the president, went in to reform the EEOC. And he came back and told the American people, well, the burden of proof now is on the employer to prove that they didn't discriminate against a person. But he turned right around and took away the quota system, which was a way to prove that you had been discriminated against. So now, when you go into an immigrant's business, you ain't gonna find any blacks working in there. You're gonna see a lot of these Hispanics that's got the construction work contracts. You're not gonna see blacks working out there, and so it ain't only discrimination from the white man, but we're discriminated against from the brown man, the African American as well. And when I say African American, that's a phase that has been implemented to say that for the white folks to say, well, we accept African Americans, but not them black folks. And there's a skin issue that's still relevant to a society today. And I don't know, a lot of our young interracial youth that are growing up as people of color. They are descendants of black fathers and mothers and stuff. Well, we understand that. But when we talk about blackness, I'm talking about the melanated people that look like the people that came over here on the ships. Those are the black people we are talking about. Black people who have the soul, the spirit, characteristics of being a black person,
So,
and so we're
so
still trying to figure out who we are. Like Tavis Smiley said, when he came out with the word African American, he said no, because there are white African Americans too. So I'm going to continue to call myself a black man in America.
I hear you. So, Mr. Chuck, let's say we want to vote and we don't know how. I mean, what are the steps we must take in order to get to the ballot box?
Well, first, if you're not registered to vote, you have to get registered to vote. It's free. Just find somebody that's registering people to vote and get registered. It's
And you're a registrar, right?
Yes, I just went and got recertified last week. And through our new political organization, for which you're a board member of, the Black Independent Voters Association, we intend to have an impact, some type of an impact on the 2022 midterm election as well, even though we're just a grassroots movement trying to get started. But we're going to have a more of an impact on the 2024 election, because what people don't understand, whether it's abortion rights, education, whatever, those are smoke screens. What is going on in America right now, people better wake up to, because we're, if we lose democracy and an autocracy is set up, your vote really won't matter then. It really won't. And you see what's going on around the country with these red states setting up these Secretary of States to set them up where they can challenge elections and overturn elections and stuff like this. We have got to get out there and fight for our freedom and to keep our freedoms, and we got to do it by any means necessary.
You're
Got to,
absolutely right. All right. So you said an individual can contact me or contact you. My number is 210-872-2261. And Mr. Chuck, would you like to provide a number?
yeah, you can call me at 210-836-5013. And pretty soon you'll be able to connect with us on Facebook through the BIVA, Black Independent Voters Association. And we feel like we started BIVA because we want to empower the black vote. I mean, we cannot allow the Democrats just to take our vote for granted any longer, and we cannot allow the Republican Party to ignore our vote. Yeah, they got a few paid actors to come up in front of them, and they put them out front, but they're not really for us, real black people. So we have to become independents, and right now, independence is holding a pretty strong position on what's going on in America today. Uh, the Democrats has their base, the Republican has their base, and but the independents are usually the biggest swing vote in America, and the African American vote or the black vote is the biggest cultural swing vote in America.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't let nobody downplay that. We got to understand our worth and our values, and get out there and do what we got to do. And
And
through
the vote
several,
matters.
the
Everybody's
vote
vote
does
matters.
matter. It does matter. And the poverty vote is that quiet vote, that quiet storm that President Obama was talking about when he was in office. And I believe
Mhm.
if we get that poverty vote out there and start working with them people, I think we can make a difference in here in San Antonio in the city
Mhm.
and in the state. And so we have another organization that I'm a member of, a partner that I want to partner with, and that is called San Antonio Power One. They are a educational organization. They they teach about what's on the ballot for that election. You can
Mhm.
go there. So my thing was to let Beaver go out and start registering the people to vote and start building our Black Independent Voters Association database, and then we'll pass those people on over to the Power One for education, civic education on voting, and then what's on the ballot. And then from that point, we'll take that same group and we pass them on over to another organization that I hope will be headed up by Mr. Claude Foster down in Houston, Texas. Um, I got my start in this activist work through him when I was working with the NAACP National Voter Fund as an outreach coordinator for the Unlock the Vote campaign here in Bexar County. Before they started fighting for felons to have the right to vote, I was the original fighter for them to have that right to vote. And we started that campaign back in 2004. And then I think within a year and a half, we had registered something like 10 to 15,000 formerly incarcerated people across the state of Texas. Now, the problem with that is right now they haven't come together and organized and had their voices heard and let them know we have votes. So the thing about us, if we can get this database growing, and we got so many thousands or hundreds of thousands of members here in Texas, San Antonio, or around the country, we get up in the millions and stuff like that. Then we got a voice, we got muscle, and we can get in there. Forget about the parties. Let's take our agenda straight to the politician that wants our vote.
Let me ask you a question. What's going on with our youth? I mean, why is it that we find many of our youth getting sucked into the system in a way that they have no control over, and we try our best to keep them from being involved in this, but so many different elements have the power to yank them out of our society. What can you say about that?
Well, that's a very interesting topic. You know, our youth of today, how they've been disconnected from their elders and from their values. Um, I think that pipeline from the classroom to the prison pipeline is a real deal, and it happens. It starts in the school. Now, a lot of people say it starts in the home. That's true. The education does start in the home, but when neither parent is in the home, then the child is just left there by themselves. And then what happens? A lot of these kids that get branded, that they get out there and they get with the wrong people that tell them they love them and they're gonna do this for them and do that for them. And I had a young man tell me at one point that he was 14 years old when a 27-year-old man put a gun in his hand. And I said, "Wow, what did you do about it? Did you tell your parents?" "No, I didn't think they'd understand." "Well, you should have." Okay. So what I see happening is that we got people who have dropped through fell through the cracks at a young age, become career criminals, and now are recruiting our children who we are out here working hard, trying to educate, prepare for the future, keep a roof over their head, food in their stomach, clothes on their back. And we give them, when they grow up to a point where we start allowing them to enjoy some of their freedom and go and do a few things, then they get into connections with the wrong elements in the community. And before you know it, you've lost someone. You've lost a child,
Mm-hmm.
either by gunfire, well, gunfire, period. Either they have killed somebody or somebody's killed them.
Mm-hmm.
So I wore my cap today and my shirt, you know, that says Black Lives Matter. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that Black lives do matter, and they should matter to us. They should matter to us as Black people. And we
Mm-hmm.
should do all we can to decrease the violence, Black on Black violence and Black on Black crime. We should
Mm-hmm.
teach our children how to be, you know, proud of who they are and who they are. So we do have to come up with some ways to help our kids do better. I look at TV sometimes and I see how uh, on the TV they pump up, you know, little white kids, little Hispanic kids, and all kind of programs that their culture is producing for them and putting them in, getting them involved with. We got to do the same thing for our children, because if we don't do it, only a few of them is going to be used as so-called token to say, well, we do a diversity, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. But unless a massive number of black kids are being taken care of and nurtured
Mm-hmm.
by black leadership and the black community, we're going to be sitting here another 50 years or two talking about the same old stuff about how we need to come together, how we need to do this, and how we need to do that. And so I've been on a personal, mission myself through the African American Capital Reserve Fund to support, entrepreneurship, black entrepreneurship, especially amongst our youth, with our program called the Future Entrepreneurs of America Youth Club. These two programs, trying to get them off the ground, but in my
Teaching them
situation,
how to save, right?
yeah, teaching them how to save, teaching them about the things that they don't teach them in school. Civics, they don't teach them civics in school. How to handle a bank account, how to invest, uh, all these things that they need to know. They don't get it in school, you see. And then when they get out here in the public and they start trying to deal with it and they make mistakes and they wind up, J.C. Penney used to have a big scam.
Mm-hmm.
They take a 18-year old, give them a $300 line of credit, and they go out there and abuse it and become a second line creditor. Then they can
Mm-hmm.
only get credit at a 22-23% interest rate because of your credit risk,
Mm-hmm.
if you can get it.
Wow.
So,
Well, that's a good topic to discuss, and we're gonna dedicate a show to that later on. I do have one more question I'd like to ask you. You had spoken to me a few weeks ago about Little League baseball. So, what's your opinion on that?
well, I think that's one way to start bringing families back together, bringing them back to the ballpark. The football, arena is doing it with the Pop Warners and stuff like that, that they're doing it and bringing families together again. But I think baseball, when I think about the Negro League, when they did it on their own, and coming up on, a lot of people don't know it, but September the 5th has been Negro League Baseball Day in San Antonio for probably the last 15 to 20 years, and we haven't celebrated yet. So hopefully, in a year, we'll be celebrating the Negro League Baseball Day in November, on Labor Day weekend, and using it as a weekend of youth empowerment, and honoring San Antonio's own John Mew Miles, who was a lover of children. And so we want to have this big tournament.
And a professional ball player, right?
Yeah, yes, he was a professional ball player right here. He got his nickname the Mule because he could hit a baseball as hard as a mule could kick. Yeah, that's it. That's how it went. And I
That's
had the
good.
pleasure of photographing him a couple of times and having him
Mhm.
come over to birthday parties and sign baseballs for the kids and stuff like this. So, in his honor, we want to on celebrating that day. we want to have a youth softball or baseball tournament. Uh, and I'd like to get the city involved because I know Judge
Hmm.
Nelson Wolf was a big fan of baseball because when he brought the traveling Negro Negro Museum here to San Antonio several years ago. So I wanted to see if I could get all 10 San Antonio City Council districts to sponsor a team celebrating Negro League Baseball Day in San Antonio. That's what I'd like to see happen.
That is a beautiful plan, Chuck. We need to talk a little bit more on it
Yeah,
because that's.
but the little league baseball is something
Mhm.
we do need to pull together, have a little league team, so we can prepare them to take them to the little league World Series
Mhm.
right out of the east side. Just like Alamo Heights has done it, and a couple of other communities around San Antonio have done it. We need to start working with our children. Now we have some people on our political thread. We have a political
Mhm.
think tank. Now we have some doctors and people on there, educators and stuff, and we've been talking about also starting back a Saturday school. So we can take some of those kids that's having a hard time in school and educate them.
Mhm.
So it's a whole lot that needs to be done for ourselves that we need to start doing it for ourselves, so we won't be our own selves' worst enemy. We're talking about what people are not doing for us, and let's start talking about what we can do for ourselves.
Right.
You know, um, we talk about our past a whole lot, but we don't talk about our future enough. And this is where I'm trying to go with it with what I'm doing with my little companies and stuff. Um, the African American Capital Reserve Fund, if we go out and ask black people to start giving back to black, and if they were to do as we ask them to donate once a year, $100 to the fund, then if 10% of the population did that, we could raise over $140 million a year of our own money to do what we want to do with. The thing about it, we don't trust one another. And then as long as we don't trust one another and envy each other, we are never going to break the chains of Willie Lynch.
There you go. You're
He
absolutely right.
promised, and they promised us. He promised the North American slave owners. He say, "I got a chicken. I got a right here in my bag. I got a foolproof method that'll guarantee you control of your slaves for 300 years." And that was in 1712. And of course, the 300 years ended when 2012. He said, but it may last 1,000. And if we
Because
get
it's
a
still growing. It's still perpetuating.
it's still going, yeah, and it's still happening. Like we see it amongst ourselves every day. Uh,
Mhm.
and if they destroy democracy and set up an autocracy, then that 1,000 years is possibly something that could possibly happen
Well,
as well.
let me throw in a little shout out, and then we're gonna get your final closing statements, and then we're gonna shut down the Black News Network. First of all, can I get everybody that's watching the show or have watched the show or going to watch it later, go to our YouTube channel, the Black News Network, and subscribe to the channel. Also, go to our Facebook channel and like us on Facebook. I mean, those little likes and little subscriptions really give us an opportunity to reach more people. But if I mean, I'm asking you to come out and do it. If you watch the show, please like us and let us know that you're out there. So, Mr. Chuck, in closing, what can you tell our listeners to do to get going? Any
Get
way you
ready.
want to.
Get ready to hear from Beaver. We're going to get ready to launch our campaign to of the Poverty Vote America campaign. This is the campaign we're going to work with, Poverty Vote America campaign, and we're going to go into the uh, apartment complexes, Sahas apartment complexes, and start having town hall meetings so we can hear from those people what their issues are, what their concerns are, so we can educate them about what's going on. And as we're doing that for those town hall meetings, we will have deputy registrars there to register those to vote. And so we want to start having those town hall meetings around the city at least once a week, maybe twice. But we need volunteers. We need people to contact us and who want to volunteer to empower the black vote. You can give me a call at 210-836-5013 if you'd like to become a volunteer and help us get people registered and get them ready to go to the polls to vote. And this time, we want to have the poverty vote to the poll, the poverty vote march to the poll. Well, I've been trying to do the march to the poll. If we don't march, let's march for a good reason. Let's march to save democracy now. And we've done the march to the poll a couple of times. The most successful one that I think we had was when we marched with Representative Barbara Hawkins, and she brought a crew down, and we had probably close to about 40, 50 people that took that short march from Sprigsdale up to the Florida Black Center and cast our vote. We need to do that and show our strength in numbers as we march to the polls.
All right, Mr. Chucks may have froze up, but thank you so much, my brothers and sisters, for listening to the Black News Network, the real voice of Military City, USA. We're bringing you the news from a Black perspective. We do not own the rights to the music that you may hear, but we do own the rights to what we say. Want to say thank you to Mr. Chuck Slaughter for giving us his time today. I know it's precious, and we have a lot of things we're trying to accomplish here in the city of San Antonio. So if you can hear, you can hum. I got that from one of my friends, Lyle Foster. So I just wanted to give him that shout out. If you can hear, you can hum. Or you can hum, you can hear, whichever way it goes. But thank you so much for listening to the Black News Network. We're going to fade out with a little music, and then we'll be done for the day. See you on Wednesday with a lecture on a training video. I think it's going to be about voter registration. Have a great day. That's how it be. You know what I'm saying? In the ghetto, everybody on the block want to be hard.